वेलकम टू प्रिंस स्टूडेंट हाउस। एक्सरसाइज नंबर 17 एंड 18 140 वर्ड से मिनट, जो ऑलरेडी हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पर 80 वर्ड से मिनट और 100 वर्ड से मिनट अपलोड हो चुकी हैं। उनको बार बार लिखे, उसके बाद 140 की स्पीड से आप लिखिए, ट्राई कीजिए। प्रैक्टिस करने के बाद लिखेंगे तो लिखी जाएगी और आपकी स्पीड इम्प्रूव करेगी। 140 वर्ड्स a minute. Be ready? Start. Sir, the very basis of the bill has also been questioned. That is whether the restructuring of the capital of the institutions is at all needed. It is our view that a developmental agency should be organizationally independent and its board professionalized. Having fully fed the Industrial Development Bank of India since its infancy for a decade, the Reserve Bank has placed it in a position of importance. The government have therefore taken the view that the time has arrived to elevate status of the development bank to that of the principal financial institution. Just as the Reserve Bank is the central bank of the country, the Life Insurance Corporation of India is the capital investment institution. The development bank should achieve the status of the principal financial institution, all the three being directly owned by the government. The bill seeks to achieve this purpose. Further, the board of the principal financial institution should reflect the various impulses of different states of India, particularly those which are industrially backward. As I have already explained, you will see from clause 6 of the bill that in a board of 25 members, excepting 2 who are government officials and 2 employees of the financial institutions, the rest are professionals in the sense that they represent all India and state level financial institutions, banks and various fields like science, technology, industry, economics, industrial, cooperative, marketing, etc. The Reserve Bank as the central bank of the country will be represented at the level of a deputy governor on the board and on the executive committee of the development bank. The Reserve Bank is therefore in a position to continue to make its positive contribution to the operations of the development bank and through it to all the other financial institutions. It has also been argued that after the restructuring of the development bank, neither the volume of credit to industry will increase nor will the cost of credit increase, and thus there is no economic rationale for the bill. In any event, the mobilization of resources and their channeling will be done in close coordination with the Reserve Bank of India. Having elevated the status of the IDBI and made it statutorily responsible for the coordination, the development bank and the other financial institutions will work with greater cohesion, and to that extent there will be better development of resources all around. A point has also been raised that with the transfer of the shareholding of Industrial Development Bank of India from the Reserve Bank to the government, large industrial group would have easier access to institutional finance than before. In the second note of dissent by my honorable friend, a similar point has been made that the credit policies to be followed by the institutions have not been defined. The policy of financing industry, including small scale industry, cooperative, etc., and the large industrial groups, is determined. It is perhaps not very material whether the Industrial Development Bank of India is directly owned by the government or owned through the Reserve Bank. Parliament has therefore the opportunity to oversee the policy being followed by the Development Bank and the other institutions in financing industry in general and the larger industrial groups in particular. The honorable member has in their minute of dissent referred to the position that the employees representatives will not be elected on the board but will be selected in a manner prescribed by the government. They have referred to the practice prevailing in regard to the appointment of directors on the boards of nationalized bank. I may inform the House that in the case of nationalized banks, the scheme framed under the Banking Nationalization Act does not provide as such for a direct election by workmen of their representatives on the boards of the banks, and a representative is chosen out of panel of 3 names suggested by the Federation, which on verification by the Central Labour Commissioner has the largest number of workmen as members. A more or less similar procedure will be drawn up in this case also for selection of the employees representatives. I now take this opportunity of paying a tribute to the services rendered by the Reserve Bank of India in feeding the Industrial Development Bank of India from its infancy and having brought it up to its present status so that it could take up the leadership of the other financial institutions independently. As I have already stated earlier, the Industrial Development Bank of India will continue to be as much a concern of the Reserve Bank as of the government in the new setup as well. I have every hope that the Development Bank as the principal with its enlarged role should be able to play an effective part in the balanced industrial development of the country in accordance with national priority and aspirations. With these remarks, I commend the bill to the Honorable House for consideration for useful debate. Next para, exercise number 18. Madam Speaker, I rise to present the budget for 2018-19. Madam, 4 years ago we pledged to the people of India to give this nation as honest, clean and transparent government. We promised a leadership capable of taking difficult decisions and restoring strong performance of Indian economy. We promised to reduce poverty, expedite infrastructure creation and build a strong, confident and a new India. When our government took over, India was considered a part of a fragile five, a nation suffering from policy paralysis and corruption. We have decisively reversed this. The government led by the Prime Minister had successfully implemented a series of fundamental structural reforms. With the result, India stands out among the fastest growing economies of the world. The journey of economic reforms during the past few years has been challenging but rewarding. As a result of the reforms taken by the government, foreign or direct investment has gone up. Measures taken by the government have made it much easier to do business in India. Natural resources are now allocated in a transparent and honest manner. There is a premium on honesty. There was a time when corruption was commonplace. Today, our people, especially our youths, are curious to lead their lives honestly. The direct tax system with introduction of goods and services tax has been made simpler. Benefits to the poor have been targeted more effectively with the use of digital technology. The demonetization of high value currency has reduced the quantum of cash currency and circulation in India. It has increased the taxation base and spurred greater digitization of the economy. The insolvency and bankruptcy code has changed the lender-debtor relationship. The capitalized banks will now have a greater ability to support growth. All these structural reforms in the medium and long run will help Indian economy achieve a stronger growth for a long time. Indian economy has performed very well since our government took over in May 2014. India achieved an average growth of 7.5% in first 3 years of our government. Indian economy is now $2.5 trillion economy, 7th largest in the world. India is expected to become the 5th largest economy very soon. On purchasing power parity basis, we are already the 3rd largest economy. Indian society, polity and economic had shown remarkable resilience in adjusting with the structural reforms in the economy. Our GDP growth at 6.3% in the second quarter signed turnaround of the economy. We hope to grow at 7.2% to 7.5% in the second half. IMF in its latest update has forecast that India will grow at 7.4% next year. Manufacturing sector is back on good growth path. The services mainstay on our growth have also resumed their high growth rates of 8% plus. Our exports are expected to grow at 15% in 2017-18. We are now firmly on course to achieve high growth of 8% plus. We have taken up programs to direct the benefits of structural changes and good growth to reach farmers, poor and other vulnerable sections of our society and to uplift the underdeveloped regions. This year's budget will consolidate these gains and particularly focus on strengthening agriculture and rural economy, provision of good health care to economically less privileged, taking care of senior citizens, infrastructure creation and working with the states to provide more resources for improving the quality of education in the country. Prime Minister, as always, stressed importance of good governance. He has articulated the vision of minimum government and maximum governance. This vision has inspired government agencies in carrying out hundreds of reforms in policies, rules and procedures. This transformation is reflected in improvement of India's ranking by 42 places in the last 3 years in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business, with India breaking into top 100 for the first time. I would like to congratulate all those who worked to achieve this. Now our government has taken ease of doing business further by stress on ease of living for the common men of this country, especially for those belonging to poor and middle class of the society. Good governance also aims at minimum interference by the government in the life of common people of the country. Government is provide free LPG connections to the poor of this country through Ujjwala Yojana. Under Saubhagya Yojana, 4 crore household being provided with electricity connections. More than 800 medicines are being sold at lower prices through more than 3,000 Jan Aushadhi centers. Cost of stunts have been controlled. Special scheme for free dialysis of poor have been initiated. Persons belonging to poor and middle class are also being provided a great relief in interest rates on housing schemes. Efforts are being made to provide all government services, whether bus or train tickets or individual certificates online. These include passport, which may be delivered at a doorstep in 2 or 3 days, or company registration in 1 day time, and these facilities have benefited a large section of our country. Thank you. Stop.